Namaskar, I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interaction. You're watching this live interactive interaction of ours on PM eVidya channels 6 to 12 and also on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. This is our online training program under the umbrella theme of social media safety. This online training program is brought to you by CIET NCERT in collaboration with Cyber Peace Foundation, that is CPF. Today is day 2 of the training session where we will be talking about privacy matters, protecting personal data and digital footprint. We all know that data is no less than an asset. It is extremely important and therefore we should stay extremely cautious while sharing our important data online. So, what all we can do to prevent ourselves from various threats and from becoming a victim of the same, that will be, discussed with you today in detail. If you have questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. You can speak to our expert directly, and if at all you are having any problem or you want to just stay aware and need some tips, you can always have this interaction with the expert. Please take down our phone number, which is 8800440559. You can also write an email to us on training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. Lastly, since you are watching us live on our YouTube handle NCERT Official, you can always go to the comment section, put in your questions there and get in touch with us instantly. Now, it is also important to let you know that this is a training program. So, there is going to be an assessment which you can attempt, and if you attempt it successfully and score more than 70%, you will be granted a certificate that you can download from DIKSHA portal. And for more information, I request you to kindly log on to our CIET website. Now, who's there with us today who will apprise us with all the important information related to this session? We are joined by Dr. Rakesh Maheshwari. So, let's welcome him. Sir, namaskar and very warm welcome to you.
Yeah, namaskar.
I would like to tell everybody that Service Advisor, Cyber Laws and Technology Policy, and he's also former Senior Director from Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. And with Sir, we are going to take this very important discussion forward. Now, Sir, before you delve deep into the topic and you share all the important points with us in detail, I request you to kindly brief us and our viewers about what exactly you'll be covering in the session today.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I shall be talking today about the importance of privacy, importance of protecting personal data, particularly when we are online, and the fact that whatever we are doing online does remain on somewhere. Our logs do remain on internet, and therefore I want all of you to be cautious,
Right.
be aware of what you are doing on internet, and how do you protect your privacy and remain safe while being online.
Absolutely, sir. We are looking forward to gain insight on all these important and relevant matters. Now, I'll request you to kindly go ahead with your presentation and we will be taking up some questions at the end.
Thank you. So, thank you very much.
Right.
As I mentioned, I shall be talking about privacy, particularly when we are online, when we are when we are using internet. See, in India, as of today, we have around 90 crore people who have access to internet, have access to online activities, and the penetration of internet is also growing up. That means our data consumption per person is also going up statistically, which means more and more of us are becoming online. We are devoting more and more time online, and hence it's very important that while we take all the benefits of the internet, we ensure protection, we ensure safety of us while we access various, I'll say, information, or while we try to get various information or try to upload certain information on internet, primarily I shall be talking about how do we protect personal data and digital footprints, what are the legal scenarios in the country, and what precautions should we take up. In the end, I shall also be taking up questions
Sure.
to the extent you are interested in. To begin with, why privacy is important to you? In fact, if you are aware, in 2017, Honorable Supreme Court passed a judgment that privacy is a fundamental right for the citizens in the country. And what exactly this means, that barring few scenarios primarily of the national security and sovereignty or integrity, it is important that the privacy of the people is upheld. And the same applies when we are online. In fact, our personal data is very, very valuable. Maybe we may think, how does it really matter? But with my own practical experience, I can tell you, we when things go wrong, things actually go wrong very badly. One good example of this had been the loan lending apps, wherein the few loan lending apps which came up on internet, not through Play Stores but otherwise, and they actually collected a lot of personal data without our knowledge, or maybe with our knowledge, but maybe we were not really aware as to what kind of information are they collecting. In the process, all our photographs, all our contact list was available. They were charging very, very high interest rates, and in case we are not really able to pay, our contacts were used to convey normally obscene kind of messages and photographs, thereby causing a great damage to our reputation. And the same is visible particularly now with AI coming up. We are no longer, in fact, it becomes, our privacy even becomes important. We have seen Ghibli kind of activities happening on ChatGPT, wherein we shared our photographs. Good to, experiment, no problem. But then in what way these photographs or videos are going to be used, unless we are aware of it, we cannot really control in case they are being misused. There are examples, once again, where we tend to post so much of personal data. For example, if we are going on holidays, that we are enjoying holidays while being away from our home place, and that we are away for a week, and in the meantime, the burglars who have noticed this come to your house, burgle, and therefore your valuable property is taken. It is therefore important to understand that your personal details are important. There are hackers, there are people who will always be wanting to get to know more and more about it. In fact, almost every other day, we also happen to hear data breaches which do take place. In the process, our financial data, our biometric data, our health data, if it gets leaked, particularly, for example, if our biometrics get leaked, this is something which we have, and if leaked and if it is being misused, we can't really do anything about it. It is therefore important that we protect, we understand the importance of personal data, we understand the importance of privacy, and we take as many steps as really possible. We also need to understand that as and when we are online, there are logs which get generated. Sometimes we tend to believe that if we are using an incognito mode, maybe we are not being seen. No, that's completely wrong. All of our activities, wherever, whatever sites that we are visiting, they are also being logged in, and at least maybe in my local machine they are not available, but to ISPs, all such activities are available. It is in this context that we shall be talking about as to what do we mean, what do we understand with respect to the personal data. What is that we need to protect? Personal data means your physiological details, your demographic details, your passwords and login and pins, and maybe the way you have, for example, taken the SIM, the phone number, you must have given certain personal details. When you open a bank account, you must have given certain personal details. When you transact, even those transactions, when they have been done, of what value they have been done, what has really been sent on email, everything is about you. Everything is about your personal behavior. Everything is about personal data. And it is this personal data which is whose security is important, which is what is being called as safeguarding or maintaining the privacy of this particular data, even our location details. And the same is true with respect to the digital footprints. So everything that you do online leaves a trace. There are, as I mentioned, if you are sending an email, the time that you have opened your email account, the email that you have sent, the size of the email, the moment it has left your machine, the moment it has been seen by the other person, everything is getting logged on internet. And that's where, particularly, for example, social media intermediaries, for example, advertisers are keen to get to know about your activities, about your behavior, so as to give you the targeted advertisements. Once again, at the first instance, nothing wrong with all these things. But as I said, that if it goes in the wrong hands, there is a plethora of information, plethora of logs, footprints that we have left, and they continue to remain permanent. In fact, this is the way the investigators, law enforcement agencies are able to track particularly the people who are indulged or who are involved in, I'll say, certain illegal activities. So there can be good digital footprints. For example, you are writing comments, you are going through educational contents, or there can be bad digital footprints wherein you are maybe accessing inappropriate photographs, or maybe you are uploading anything which may not be actually good. But as I said, everything is and everything does remain on digital footprint. I mean, your digital footprints remain on the internet. We may say that the digital data is fragile. In spite of that, digital data is permanent as well. What it really means that if we are sharing everything on internet, it is quite likely, particularly amongst the teenagers, wherein the other side is quite interested to know as to who the person is, who the user is. And if the user happens to be a child, and in the Indian context, a child is a person who is less than 18 years of age, they tend to bully by impersonating as if they are your friends. Need not necessarily. So in the process that you get messages which are offensive, you get photographs which are offensive, or maybe sometimes it is your photographs which are taken, morphed, and used in a way which once again creates problems for you. Your identity is taken, and we have seen, particularly in the context of AI, deepfakes, morphed imagery. So lot of I'll say use as well as misuse happens. But when things work fine, we don't even know, and we don't even realize. If our body is functioning well, we don't even realize the importance of the organs of the body. But as soon as any one of them goes wrong, we realize the importance of that particular organ, be it hand, be it heart, be it mind, be it legs, anything. And so is true with respect to what we do on internet. What we want to therefore convey is that while you share on internet, be aware of what is being shared. Of course, always share the minimum information. And that is where it is important that you be smart. In fact, the Indian government, the Ministry of Electronics and IT, has come out with a comprehensive rules under the Information Technology Act. The rules are, there are two rules which in a way deal with such I'll say personal data or maybe privacy of the individuals. One is called as Sensitive Personal Data and Information Rules 2011. The other is called as the IT Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code Rules of 2021. Why I am quoting these two rules is because in a way it pertains to each one of us as citizen, as students. We should be aware of these rules and the protection they provide as and when we are available, as and when we are accessing any online activity or we are on social media platforms. Particularly when we are talking of social media platforms, all these social media platforms, courtesy these rules, do provide you to set your privacy settings. You can have only one-to-one. You can, even on, let's say, Facebook, even on Twitter, even on Instagram, you can always make settings in such a way that only few people in the closed group can talk to each other and see each other's messages, or maybe your friends can see, or friends of friends can see, or maybe anybody on internet can see. So depending upon the kind of posts that you have, depending upon the kind of maybe publicity that you want to have, or publicity, depending upon the settings that you do, that your posts, your messages, your photographs, your videos shall be visible only to a closed user group or maybe to everyone. In the defaults, it is normally to everyone because that is where they want to capitalize and they want to make commercials out of it. But depending upon the scenario, we can always have these privacy settings done. And why I am talking about it is that all such features are available on social media platforms. Avoid sharing real-time locations and travel plans. I have already talked about it and the kind of perils that may be there because of such sharing. Don't post personal informations, school names, IDs. In fact, Aadhaar ID, PAN numbers, election ID number, which I do not know whether you have really seen the reservation charts in railways, for example, about 10 years back. They used to give all your identity details, no longer now. In Manrega, where there are direct cash benefits being given to citizens, maybe because of transparency requirements, government departments used to publish the names of the people, the address of the people, the amount which they have received, and maybe the Aadhaar number. But because such Aadhaar numbers along with the names were being misused through AEPS payment scheme where not even internet is required, and it's normally small payments are done. Therefore, many a time people are not even aware that their money has been taken out. Therefore, it is important that we do not share our personal IDs, our official IDs on internet. We should be careful about the reviews. We should be careful about the followings that we do. Just because somebody wants to befriend you does not really mean, unless you are aware of the person, unless you are confident that the person whom you are going to interact is somebody, who is really going to be useful to you, don't unnecessarily try to befriend or try to follow the people. Always think before you post. In fact, many a time we may not be even aware of the illegalities. We are not supposed to be well aware of the Indian Penal Code or Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So, but we are not really aware, or we don't want to read, for example, the terms and conditions of the platforms. And we have seen that in case the platform is being misused, that many a time the platforms, by way of artificial intelligence tools that they use, by way of complaints that somebody else can make, or in fact you can also make sometimes if you are receiving an offensive message, that we can ensure sanity on the internet, sanity on the social media platforms, and the same is expected from you as well. Be smart while using the social media platforms. And the exactly same thing is what I'm trying to show, particularly now that the young children are very, very active on Instagram. That's where you can control of who gets access to your Instagram accounts. In fact, almost every day we are also hearing about the online scams. Online scams, online frauds primarily happens because sometimes they play on the fear that we have. If some police officer is calling us, maybe we get frightened and we tend to share information. If some income tax authority is calling us, we try to share information. So that's something called as fear. There is another thing, particularly where the senior citizen get involved, is the greed. Each one of us, young or I'll say adult or senior citizen or whatever age that we are, each one of us by nature is greedy. But nothing wrong being having a greed. But if we start expecting something which is not really possible, it is quite likely that we are getting into some scam, we are getting into some fraud. The human psychology, the Indian psychology particularly, is that we also have emotional sympathy, and we tend to agree with what the other person on the other side is saying, and we try to play, or we become emotional if somebody's child has gone missing, and maybe some help is being sought, or maybe somebody's wallet is gone, and the person is asking for some financial help. We should, but please be aware, and please be aware of the signals, whether it is a genuine call or a non-genuine call. And normally you should be able to make it out, because in a non-genuine call, normally the spellings will go wrong. Normally those people are not in your contacts. The way the talk is being made, it is likely to be suspicious, and in fact sometimes there are URLs, and nowadays in fact the ISPs have already, the telecom service providers have already therefore started giving you that this phone call is likely to be suspicious, or this message is likely to be suspicious. And if you think that this is going to be suspicious, it's better not to open. Whether it comes through email, whether it comes through SMS, whether it comes through a WhatsApp message, or in whichever form it comes up, because we also do not know in what forms maybe it is coming, whether in the form of text or audio or video or voice, everything is possible. Particularly, India has got today the facilities to report. If you think there is any suspicious link, if you think there is any suspicious phone, you can always make complaints. For example, there is a DOT's portal, which is samsarthi.gov.in, and of course we always have 1930 or cybercrime, national cybercrime portal, which is cybercrime.gov.in. Any input, any reporting done by you in a way helps curbing such online scams. Because we are talking with respect to privacy, we are talking with respect to security, it's also important that we must also create strong passwords, unique passwords. Normally longer passwords are much better. I mean, gone are those days when you used to have mix of all those characters. Maybe what is being today conveyed is have as long as passwords as possible. Of course, you need to change the passwords very frequently on most of the portals, and therefore they should be easy to remember while difficult to guess. Or use passwords managers which are also available on internet. Wherever possible, always try to go in for two-factors or multi-factor authentications. Never share your passwords even with the best friends. In fact, never share your phones also unless you are too confident about it. Because your e-identity, as I mentioned, once gone, sometimes is gone forever, or when things go wrong, or when you are impersonated, things actually become highly troublesome, particularly in the context of, I'll say, many a time the girls, the ladies, the children get exploited, and therefore once again it's important that we protect our e-identity on the internet. Now, with respect to the legal position, because it's important that we understand, we also are aware of what are the rights do we have, or what are the legal remedies that are available under the Indian Constitution, under the Indian legal system. As of today, we have the Information Technology Act, and I did talk about the sensitive personal data. That means any organization, in fact, if you visit whether you visit Airtel or Vodafone, or maybe you visit Netflix or any OTT platform, or maybe any social media platform, you will find a privacy policy being conveyed by them. This privacy policy as of today is based on the Information Technology Act of 2000, which is what the act is. But going forwards, and this protects primarily, I mean, with respect to the sensitive personal data, that means mostly the health related data. In fact, in case somebody has to visit a hospital, normally they take consent of what data they are going to take and how they are going to use it. Same is true with respect to the financial data, same is true with respect to the biometric data. In fact, Aadhaar particularly, which has been or has collected so much of biometric information about us, therefore has to ensure that the biometrics data available with them is safely stored and processed. But going forward, we are going to have a Digital Personal Data Protection Act, DPDP Act of 2023, which actually empowers you to be able to get to know what consents you are giving, why this consent, why this data is being shared, can, if at all you want to get to know as to what a particular organization has collected, what kind of personal data they have collected about you, you will be able to get to know. You will be able to ask for erasure. You will be able to even report if somebody is claiming something else and is taking some other data, or there is a data breach by the organization. And this law particularly will apply not only to the private organizations but to government organizations. So in time to come, the law is already there. Rules are being framed. The law is going to become operational very soon. You will see a vast change in the way the personal data is being collected and is used and is being shared, because as of today maybe there are not enough of legal remedies available, but going forward they are going to be available courtesy through this DPDP Act. And before I almost come towards the closure, I'll also like to convey that maybe you keep your antivirus updated, whichever antivirus I'll say you have. In fact, something similar should also be available on your mobiles. Many a time people do not have antivirus on the mobile, so please have something on your mobile also. Please be aware of posting pictures or tagging locations, and particularly when you are using Wi-Fi. Of course, today internet access is much wider and is much I'll say less costly, but still, if you are trying to use a public Wi-Fi or a public place wherein the internet access is being taken, if it is your own machine, maybe still better. But if it is a public machine, don't ever use or don't ever use something which requires passwords, or don't do any e-commerce. Even on a public Wi-Fi, such things should be avoided. General, I'll say, accessing of internet is okay. Disable location tracking as and when not required, and otherwise, as a good safety principle, always log out if you are not really using the device. Of course, you should also be aware of others' privacy. Something which hurts you, be aware that if you are trying to do for somebody else, it may hurt that other person as well. Yeah. So if you are posting your own photograph, at least you are taking risk with respect to what you are doing for your own self. But please do not post somebody else's photographs and videos without their permissions, particularly, if they are in your cameras. In fact, these are all goodies which almost everyone, every school, every syllabus talks about it. So further I'll not go, but be aware of the etiquettes, follow the etiquettes, protect your data, be aware, use it consciously, and in case something has gone wrong, there are enough of means available through the IT rules, through the cybercrime portal, that please report it, please share it with your parents, please share it with your teachers, with whosoever you trust, so that you can get the remedy as soon as possible. With this, I like to open to any questions, maybe because something I might have shared, some things I might not have shared. I will be willing to take up the questions.
Yes, Dr. Maheshwari, thank you so much first of all for sharing those important insights on privacy matters, protecting personal data and digital footprint. It is our session of day 2, and you have almost covered all the important things, and whatever questions I'll be asking from you that I have received from our viewers are nothing but the repetition of what you have already covered. But just to recapitulate and to apprise them once again, there's a very interesting question when somebody has asked, the person is asking, what happens to our digital footprint when we pass away? So what happens to that, because it's already there?
Very good question. Very good question. So I talked about the Digital Personal Data Protection Act. Now, this act has come into existence because of the privacy being declared as a fundamental right,
Okay.
and has empowered each one of us as citizens of the country to be able to nominate somebody after our death. So
Okay.
it is something like, in the physical world we have the will. We can always mention as to who will be the next here after my death.
Yeah.
In the same way, today in the digital world, you can nominate someone who is dear to you to take care of your digital assets in future. The second thing is that in case you have not done that, your naturally account becomes inactive, supposed
Okay.
to become inactive. If it remains inactive for a reasonable period, it is expected that these online platforms, these social media platforms, because of the inactivity of your account, delete your data. They are obliged to do it under the new Digital Data Protection Act.
Okay. So yeah.
So either
Again.
someone uses or no one uses.
Well, that's indeed interesting, because we never knew that as you nominate an heir to whatever you have materialistically, you can do the same for the online stuff also. Now, you said that you can actually nominate somebody. The next question is related to that thing only, that what are some considerations for managing the digital footprint of loved ones who have passed away? So, what that nominee can do, on his or her behalf?
Yeah, so something, I mean, like what happens in the physical world will also happen in the digital world.
Okay.
Today, if you look at the social media platforms, they already give this kind of a facility, that in case there is someone, I mean, who is no more, had been beloved to you, and you are the legal heir,
Right.
you can always approach the platform and ask for the ownership of that particular account.
Okay.
However, please be aware, it's only the legal heir who can take. But if you do it while you are still alive, you can always pass it on to your beloved ones,
Right.
not the legal heir necessarily.
So, of course.
And the scenario becomes simple.
So, this way we can actually plan a digital legacy, and we can ensure that things will be safe in future also.
Yes.
Okay, great. There's another question, and this is, the person is asking for some tips for staying safe, especially while using public Wi-Fi or sharing some sensitive information. You have already mentioned that, but still a recap of the same. Quick tips.
Yeah. So once again, I mean, public Wi-Fi, what is the risk? The risk is whatever you are doing, particularly if you are doing any transactions, it is always possible that somebody is, because you don't know, I mean, in what way your logs, your digital footprints are getting recorded, and maybe if it is a public machine, then you don't even know whether there is a keylogger or there is a malware which is available. And if it is primarily, if it is not your machine, then of course there are lots of risks associated. So never try to do, or definitely close the session, and ideally change your passwords immediately after you, because if in case you still have to do some transactions,
yes,
so immediately change the passwords. But otherwise, in a public Wi-Fi, once again, because in any case your mobile number is being taken, your identity is now known, and therefore you are being tracked. And once again, please also be aware that nothing comes free, and of course, I mean, in a public Wi-Fi, there are associated risks for the service provider also. But from our side, we will only mention that we are not really confident about the scenario. It is always safe to maybe use it minimalistically,
Okay.
and don't overexpose your identity, digital identity, in a public Wi-Fi.
Right, sir. You just shared a while ago that we post things online. We are already compromising on some of our data, but let's not post about somebody else. So the question here is that how can we control what information is shared about us online through somebody? Can we really control that?
We can't. We can't. So it's always good that spread positivity amongst others. I mean, if you have to, and particularly, therefore, do not share, for example, your private moments, your intimate moments, something which you will not like to be known,
To go public, yes.
yeah, to everybody. Do not share it. It is, I mean, while there are legal rights available, but the fact also remains that when things go viral on internet, they really go viral, and scenario is very bad and practically out of control.
This takes me to my another question. This is about the potential consequences of having our personal data compromised or shared without consent, as you mentioned that it can take an ugly turn.
So as of today, as I mentioned, there are protections under the IT Act available in respect of sensitive personal data. So if my sensitive personal data, which includes, as I mentioned, 1, biometric information, 2, financial information, 3, majorly the health data, if that has been leaked by someone who was like the custodian of the data, let's say hospital, let's say the diagnostics labs, let's say the bank, let's say Aadhaar, let's say, I mean, your employer, where they have got maybe your fingerprints, your biometrics available. So first of all, do not share such data with anybody, everybody. Share only with the trusted partners. Share only where there is actually a need for such data. So don't say, for example, put such kind of health, financial records, passwords, maybe such sensitive data on a public drive, on a Google Drive, or because why unnecessarily, or maybe send it through mail, or maybe send it through messages. So don't try to share such sensitive personal data in public. And what was exactly, I mean, your question? I mean,
that if it is compromised, what are the potential consequences?
So now if it is compromised, now there are 2-3 scenarios. 1, if somebody has morphed your photographs, videos, use it for, I'll say, obscene purposes, or maybe things have been morphed, or maybe things were real, but they were so private, but unfortunately they have got leaked. In such a scenario, 1, through the IT rules that I mentioned, IT intermediary rules of 2021, which is therefore important for every citizen to know at least some 4 or 5 tips about that. 1, that you can always approach the platform, whether you are a user on that platform or not. If you know the URL, if you have become aware of the URL, you can approach the platform either of your own, through your parents, through law enforcement agencies, through any legal consultant, anybody, in fact, who can, and through any of such, I'll say, means and mode, you can ask the platform to remove this objectionable, I'll say, post content within 24 hours. So by law, it is to be removed within 24 hours. Very recently, US has come up with a law called as Take It Down. So this law already exists, this rule already exists, number 1. Number 2, that you can as well anonymously complain it on cybercrime.gov.in portal. Now, if things don't work, let's say in spite of your complaints, nothing has worked, there is also another possibility in the IT rules that there is a grievance appellate committee online,
Okay.
which is a gac.gov.in. Now through this portal, you can make a complaint
Right,
that
sir.
this is what you wanted to get removed because it was yours identity which you never wanted it to become public.
Absolutely.
Or it can be any other scenario. I mean, something which is illegal available. Maybe your account has been illegally closed.
So we
There
can
can be
always,
many such scenarios.
yes, and we can always lodge a complaint and we can keep a track of the progress in the case, sir, because
Yes.
I mean the topic
Yes.
is so sensitive and so important,
Yeah.
but we do not have enough time, so we have to wrap up the session over here.
Yeah. So just 1 minute I would like to take.
Yeah.
One, that you can approach the grievance officer and ask for redressal. Two, if that doesn't happen, then you can approach gac.gov.in.
Okay.
Of course, courts are always there as the last option.
Yes, and I hope that we all stay so updated and informed that such things do not happen, at least from our end, and if at all it is happening from somebody else's end, we can always go and take the route to the court. So thank you so much for those valuable insights that you have shared with us for day 2 session. Thank you so much, Dr. Maheshwari, for your contribution to this training program.
And thank you very much with the message, stay smart, stay private, stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So viewers, that was our day 2 session under the umbrella theme of social media safety for our online training program. Today we discussed privacy matters, protecting data, personal data and digital footprints. With this, I'm wrapping up the session over here and would like to remind you once again that please visit our CIET website if you wish to attempt the assessment. Do read the guidelines carefully and then go for it. And now another important message for all of you. It's about the textbooks for grade 4 and 7 that are available on Amazon, Flipkart and NCERT website. You can purchase them from there. And what you can do right now, let's take a quick look at the schedule, what's all coming ahead. So here's the entire list of programs that you've been watching since morning. In a short while from now at 5 p.m. you can watch our session Sahyog, meant for providing psychosocial support to parents, teachers, students across the country. Topic is right there in front of you. So please do participate in the session. With this, it's a wrap. This is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you. Namaskar.